Hi, I'm Paul Kyogan from GK Tuition, and in this video I want to go through an exam question from 2017 paper 1. It's question 2 part B. In this question we're asked to get t, where t is z multiplied by w. Now notice that in part A of this question we worked out that z was equal to 2 times the cos of 150 plus I times the sine of 150. Now they've given me enough information in the question to work out what w is. They told me the modulus of w is equal to 3. And they told me that the angle w makes with the positive sense of the real axis is 30 degrees. You have to recognize that an angle that a complex number makes with the positive sense of the real axis is known as the argument. And we usually call it theta. And where this comes into play is when you're trying to get a complex number in polar form. Any complex number can be written in polar form where it's or, which is the modulus, times the cos of theta plus I times the sine of theta, where theta is the argument. So I've been given enough information that straight away I can tell what my w is. So I can say that w is actually 3 times the cos of 30 plus I times the sine of 30. Okay? So now I know z in polar form and I know w in polar form. And I need to find t, which is z multiplied by w. Now there's two ways of doing this question. I want to talk to you about the first way and then I want to show you how to do it the more straightforward way. Probably the thing that would come into most students' heads in this case would be to multiply it out. You multiply 2 by cos 150 and 2 by sine 150 and the same thing with your w. Basically get z in rectangular form and get w in rectangular form and then multiply them by each other. And if you do that you'll get the right answer. But there's a much easier way of doing this question. Now I want you to make sure you've got your notes open from complex numbers. And on the same page where we've explained your de Moivre's theorem, there's another 3 rules for complex numbers. One of those rules is how you multiply 2 complex numbers in polar form by each other. If I wanted to multiply z by w, it's very straightforward. You just multiply the moduli by each other. So it's just 2 by 3 gives me 6. And you just add the angles together. 150 and 30 is 180. So that just means I get the cos of 180 plus I times the sine of 180. So if you have 2 complex numbers in polar form, when you multiply them, you just multiply the moduli by each other and you just add the angles together. Now it asked me to get t in its simplest form. So let's continue. If you plug the cos of 180 into your calculator, you'll get minus 1. If you plug the sine of 180 into your calculator, you'll get 0. So in my bracket, I actually just have minus 1 plus 0y. If I multiply this out, I just end up with t is equal to minus 6. So this is my t in its simplest form. Okay, so I hope all of that made sense. Again, if you're unclear on any of it, just let me know in class during the week and I'll try to explain it differently.